And soon I want to go and talk about our next guest, but pretty soon we're going to talk about David Goggins. What I do want to say before I get to the video on David Goggins is this. There's some great comments here. I really appreciate that. We got David Swift that says, frightened of failure. That's a really good point. Previous failures at work left me feeling judged negatively. I will talk about failure. It's really important. Aiden Morrell says, negative self-talk when trying to achieve certain fitness goal. I can't do it. And that's another thing. People see other people bench press this or do this and they say, I can't do that. But it's important to break that into small pieces, and I'll talk about that as well. Steven says, try to imagine 2 positive thoughts when a negative one enters the mind. Really good. It's important that you track those negative thoughts. So when you see something and you say, oh, look at that guy in the Lamborghini, F him. It's like, no, that's not going to help anybody's situation. It's like, look at that guy in the Lamborghini. Okay, look, he's living his dream. What's my dream, and how can I get closer to that dream? Take that moment and be inspired by it and think, wow, what can I do to get to that level? That's just an example of taking the negative thought and turning it into a positive one or 2 positive ones. So thanks for that, Stephen. And Mohammed's saying, being free will introduce negativity. That's why I'm trying to keep myself busy by serving the people I'm surrounded with. You know, that's an interesting point. I think you need to be conscious about positive thoughts in your head. I don't think, and if you're not proactive, I do think negative thoughts will come in. So that's why you need a routine. That's why I always encourage meditation. Gratitude is another way of keeping negative thoughts at bay, because when you're grateful, it's, I think, been proven impossible to be negative at the same time. So these are some great practices that you can put in your practice. And look, I want to talk a little bit later about failure and some of these goals when it comes to fitness, because this is important. But next, let me go to David Goggins, because Goggins is a master of the mind. And what you see from David is his physical feats. Again, went through 3 Navy SEAL Hell Weeks. 3. I think he's the only person to ever do 3. He did a lot of that with stress fractures in his leg, broken legs. He ran 203 miles in 48 hours. He ran the Badwater Marathon, 135 miles through Death Valley in the summer in America, where literally the treads of his shoes were melting on the ground. He did 4,000 pull-ups in 17 hours. But David says, look, I'm not an alpha male, I'm not a physical specimen, but I'm willing to go places in my mind that other people aren't willing to go, and I'm willing to keep my mind positive the entire time to get me where I need to go. He has a great phrase called callousing the mind, and it's putting it through struggle to show the mind that it can do more things. And every struggle you go with builds the mind into a stronger version so it can take you even further. And in David's mind, there's no real, struggle is something we need to embrace and not to avoid. So here's David talking a little bit more about this concept of being true and honest with yourself. And if we can be honest with where we are now, then we can get to the next level. So here's David talking about truth.
Why is the truth so important?
You know what? Because first of all, it does set you free mentally, and it gives you a starting point. You have to have the truth to have a starting point. So when you, if I'm lying to you about who I am, or I'm lying to you about whatever, there's no starting point. There's a false reality.
Right.
You have to create the real reality. So that's what I call my accountability mirror in my book. That's the real reality. Where the fuck am I going to start from? So for me, I was lying to this, lying about that. So I had no starting point. Once you come face to face with who you are, you have a starting point. All right, I'm not real smart. I have no courage. I have no self-esteem. I have no nothing. Nothing. That's my starting point. Now we can move from there. But if I tell myself I'm strong, I have courage, I'm smart, and all these are lies, you continuously push that starting point backwards.
Right.
So that starting point is the truth. The no fucking bullshit truth that only you can tell yourself. So it's the starting point. The truth's the starting point.
I love how David Goggins gives it to you straight. And that's what's really important about David. He doesn't try to sugarcoat it. So before we can get somewhere in life, before we can accomplish a goal, we have to be really honest with where we are right now. That's why the truth is important. So again, be honest with where you are. It doesn't mean you have to be critical with yourself, but be honest. Where are you right now in 5 crucial aspects of your life? Your health, your wealth, your love, your relationships, and your impact on the world. Those, I think, are very major human needs. And look at yourself in the mirror, Take a look at your body. Where are you right now? Take a look at your health. Are you where you want to be? Take a look at your wealth. Write out what that bank balance is. Write out your assets. Write down where your relationship is, where your love interests are, and what your impact is on the world, and start with that baseline. From there, think about where you want to go, and then you need to start in with this positive self-talk in order to get you there. And again, it all starts with risks, and it again starts with breaking things down into small pieces. And that's how we can always accomplish something and again, get that boost and get that ego. So if you're at the gym, the point that day is not to bench press 100 more pounds than normal. It's not to get a bigger buffer physique, because it's just not going to happen in 60 minutes at the gym. You need to just make your little wins that day. I'm going to get on the treadmill and I'm not going to get off for 15 minutes. Whatever you do, you did it. I'm going to go ahead and lift these many weights this number of times, and I'm going to do what I said I'm going to do with as much fervor as I can. That's a win. Don't focus on what other people are doing or how this person looks. Just focus on those little wins and those small things, and keep up the positive self-talk every single day. If you can do that in all 5 of those aspects and take action steps every single day, you are going to accomplish more in the next 6 months than you probably will in the last 6 years. If you don't do that, if you engage in the negative self-talk and you stop trying, you stop taking risks, this is just a slow, slippery slope. And I watch this in myself constantly. I'm constantly watching for negative thoughts. And as soon as I hear one about someone else, about myself, about something in the world, I just squash it, because that one negative thought is as powerful as probably 10 positive thoughts. So I just squash it to where I'm always thinking positive. I'm always thinking, okay, that person's a little negative, they're on their journey. I'm going to let them go, and I'm going to focus on what I can do. And again, always empower yourself and get those negative self-talk to a minimum. It's not going to help you. Instead, talk about who you are as if it's happened now. And I always like to tell my students, wake up in the morning and one of your affirmations is, I am proud of my beautiful body with 8% body fat. I love taking my shirt off in all situations, and I just can't wait to become even stronger. That's a great way to empower yourself to go to the gym, because that person goes to the gym. That person eats healthy. That person stands up really, really proud of themselves. If instead you say, look at me, I'm horribly out of weight, I'm really fat, no one's ever gonna like the way I look, that's just gonna disempower you and cause more bad behaviors. That person skips the gym. That person has the jelly donut. So remember that, and remember that the positive self-talk comes along with it.
At London Real, we believe that individual transformation can change the world. Join us and start your journey today.